I went and got the folder containing just text exchanges between Mari and the guy she texted for Mandy to view. As she perused the pages, I explained we were able to verify 47 different guys Mari had engaged in escort activity since Michael was born. Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, going to do part 5 and the final update, or the final update for now until he does another update, about the Scorched Earth story. And I don't need to go through the whole recap because you guys all know what happened. And again, guys, this has been quite the story. Truly has been one of the craziest stories and longest stories I've ever covered. And I've really enjoyed doing it. I know you guys have as well. And where we left off yesterday, pretty much he was going raising holy hell with his ex, civil suits, getting into therapy, restarting, all that. And now today, part 5, we're going to get into more. The Scorched Earth will continue. Many of you guys thought it was over. It ain't over. And you're going to very much enjoy that and see what's coming to her, as well as other things going on behind the scenes. And by the way, happy Father's Day to all you fathers out there. I think this is kind of appropriate, this story ending on Father's Day, because this guy has gone through hell, but doing what he can to take care of his kids, and he's a great father and all that. So, picking up, oh, and by the way, you're going to see where that 47 I mentioned is going to come into play here. So, it picks up and continues. In an attempt to fulfill my promise to update more often with shorter posts, this will hopefully accomplish both. My apologies if any of my previous posts caused eye strain or an aneurysm. I assure you all that was never my intent. Yeah, yesterday's video, 45 minutes long, that was the longest video I've ever done in the 2+ years I've been here on YouTube for both channels. This one's only 10 pages long, so this is easy. Someone asked in the comments of my previous post about Rebecca and if I had any interaction with her. Just so no one has to go back and read the response, I will explain where things stand here as well. I have not seen or communicated with Becca at all since that fateful morning. I do not know how prominent she now is in Mari's life. I don't know if they have had any contact, but would imagine they have. The kids have not mentioned Rebecca at all. What they tell me is the extent of what I know, which isn't a lot. However, a few weeks ago, all hell broke loose. I confided in an old friend exactly what was going on. I chose the friend I did because his wife is a notorious gossip. She too is a good friend of mine, so I didn't feel any guilt for using one of her negative traits for my benefit. To those that don't know, Becca owns her own salon that employs 9 people besides her when fully staffed. Since word slowly spread through the friend group, 2 stylists have left Becca's salon. I cannot know if they left for greener pastures or as a protest for her role in my marriage failing, but I can hope. When things are finalized, I'll be airing her dirty laundry freely and often. If that causes some people to not want to work for her or visit her salon, that's great. But I will have to wait to verify if my actions bring her any misery. Well, given this guy's track record, Becca after his wife, Becca's next. And you know what? She deserves it. But you're going to find a little bit more about Becca and her history and to show you that people don't change. And even as a kid, even people that are bad apples as kids, to no surprise, many, not all, but many, end up as bad apples as adults. But this is good, getting word spreading around about Becca, because Becca's a piece of trash. And I'm sure in salons, stylists come and go, but, well, we shall see. One thing of note is I ran into Mari's sister in the grocery store. She hugged me and apologized for her sister's stupidity and immorality. I have no doubt many here would have told me to have no contact with her since she is of the enemy camp. But I have always liked Mandy and her husband Doug. So I invited them over with their children to enjoy the pool. We cooked out and Doug looked after the kids and the grill while Mandy and I talked. We made every attempt to not let any of the kids overhear our conversation. Thankfully, they were all distracted by the pool and plenty of good food to let us talk at length. To make a long story short, Mari's family knew she cheated on me with more than one man. What the fuck? But Mari blew smoke up their collective asses when it came to any admissions about body counts. Mandy and her parents were told Mari had a couple of short-term affairs after Michael was born until she got caught. When she used the term a couple, I asked how many Mandy considered a couple. She replied 2 or 3. 2 or 3? That's an appetizer. That's a warm-up. 2 or 3 compared to her real numbers. And by the way, it said here that she had 2 or 3. She claimed to the family she had a couple affairs until she got caught. So it sounds like here, after reading this another time, that in their mind, yeah, she had the affairs. It was awful, but she got caught by the husband, and they worked things out and didn't get involved. That's my interpretation at this point. He says, I went out and got the folder containing just text exchanges between Mari and the guy she sexted for Mandy to view. As she perused those pages, I explained we were able to verify 47 different guys Mari had engaged in escort activity since Michael was born. 47. Now, of course, that's a huge number. But we all know darn well, whatever you think he found was probably barely scratching the surface. You know darn well that. I made sure to explain that those 47 were just on the tip of the iceberg, since we knew she had often had one-night stands via various phone apps. Mandy didn't know what to say when she heard Mari's verified body count. She wanted to immediately call her parents to inform them and curse her sister out. So the family has no idea about the extent of all this. And also, guys, you hear the sirens? It's like they're waiting around for me to film, and then all of a sudden it's Siren Central. I kid you not. Anyhow, the family doesn't know the extent of all this. And there's another big thing the family doesn't know about. And wait to see what happens when the family finds out. Mari's lack of being forthcoming about the number of men she cheated with was enough bad news to wrap her head around. Then I put 2 and 2 together and realized nobody in Mari's family had been told yet that I'm not Carrie's father. I'm not sure who was more pissed off about that fact, Mandy or me. But Doug had to stop grilling to attend his wife due to the tears she couldn't hold back. She walked around to my side of the picnic table and gave me a hug as she told me repeatedly she was sorry. Doug was stunned. He gave me a pat on the back after making sure Mandy was okay and told me we'd go out for drinks later that week. My soon-to-be ex-wife may be a piece of dog crap, but her family and the people that married into that family seem to be good as gold. But I will continue being cautious about how much trust I allow. Very smart. Again, they knew something was going on, but it sounded like that his ex told them that she got caught, and I'm guessing we reconciled, so they weren't going to bring it up or something. But I would never 100% trust this family, because at the end of the day, they could be pissed off at her for a long time and all that. But at the end of the day, the old blood is thicker than water thing, so I would be cautious. Anyhow, he says, I filled her in on what exactly happened that morning and how I came to find out paternity results. She was stunned to say the least. When she told me she visited, I punched Becca squarely in the nose. Oh, no, excuse me. When she told me she wished that I'd punched Becca squarely in the nose, I had to ask Mandy's opinion of Becca. Mandy said she never liked Rebecca, even as kids. Mandy is 4 years older than Mari, Becca, and me. She was a senior when we were freshmen in high school. Mandy said that more than once she caught Becca stealing makeup from her room, but was unapologetic. There you go. Even as a child, Becca was a giant a-hole. She said she despised Rebecca because she'd always been manipulative and loved causing drama for others. Well, this is her masterpiece in aiding and abetting drama for others and manipulating this guy's ex-wife. She even told me she tried to be a big sister role model for Becca, especially after Rebecca's dad divorced her mom. But Mandy said she's always been a little ungrateful little bee who wouldn't listen to anyone. I asked if she knew Mari actually wanted Becca as her maid of honor initially. She never said yes or no, but the profane steam of consciousness let me know she was unaware. I filled her in on things Mari had told me via letter and in the company of attorneys. She was shocked over Mari's reasoning as much as anyone. She stated that their parents hadn't raised them to be like that. She said her sister had declared that she never wanted to be with anyone but me before high school. I'm not sure if that means Mari was deceiving herself from a young age or feelings changed. I just know humans cannot truly love someone and offer their body freely to others. I agree 100% with that. That's why I say this open marriage nonsense is bullshit on multiple fronts. How many stories have we done, guys, where the woman convinces the guy, demands from the guy, whatever, wants to open marriage, and says, oh, you can go hook up with other women. And I say it's over. Because no woman that truly loves her guy, A, is going to want other dudes pounding her, and B, want her husband with, or boyfriend, or whoever she loves, to be hooking up with girls left and right. It's bullshit. It's over. That's why end it. Walk away. But so many guys learn the hard way. Anyway, he says, either the love was never real or it had died long before I knew it. Mari had made the claim that her heart now has always belonged to me. I now know that was total bullshit, and I wonder if she was even capable of love. Not that it matters now, of course. If her heart truly belonged to me, I'd be selling it for a transplant to the highest bidder, even though I know it's defective. After lunch, the kids kept playing, so I got to talk with Doug and Mandy at length. She filled them in on while I went and got ice cream for the kids and served them. When I got back, I could see tears in Doug's eyes, and he gave me a long brotherly hug before I sat back down. The men in this story are definitely in touch with their emotions, as many of you guys have remembered. He asked about the guy I caught Mari with and how much damage I did. All I could tell him was that when I left the guy, he was unconscious and his lower eyelid on the left side looked like it belonged to a hound dog due to sagging. No police ever contacted me, so I knew his friend never took him to the cops. But I knew enough to know his orbital bone fracture would require surgery, and I never got the bill. Doug said I should have offed the guy. I told him if Mari and Becca hadn't jumped on my back to weigh me down, I probably would have, but I'm glad I didn't. Yeah, because then he'd be in prison, and those kids would be raised by Mari. So it's obviously good he didn't do that. And if anybody deserved, awful things, it's his ex. But that guy did deserve a good punching, that I will say. Doug asked if anyone had any idea who Carrie's father actually is. I explained the soon-to-be ex had effed around with too many guys to know. But I told him the search will go on into high gear once all divorce and civil proceedings have been completed. They were both glad to know Mari will get slaughtered in the divorce. They were both glad to know that therapy for all of us has helped us tremendously. When I told them I was anxious for Mari to start working again so she could pay child support and whatever civil fine she ended up owing, they laughed. Doug said if paternity fraud was a crime, Mari would get the death penalty. I told him Mari may as well have committed maternity fraud because any woman that could do what she did was no mother at all. She's no mother. She's a mother effer. About an hour after they left, my phone started blowing up with calls and texts. Who could that be? The caller ID let me know Mari's mom and dad were both reaching out, as well as calls and texts from numbers with no ID. Then Mandy called and I answered. I could hear her, but there was a lot of screaming and yelling in the background. She stepped outside away from the noise to tell me she filled her parents in on all the truth. Remember I told you guys that the scorched earth is going to continue? Now, he informed the sister of all this, and so yes, you could say he has a hand in all this, but more payback for Mari the W-H-O-R-E. Her dad was busy throwing Mari's belongings into her car. Her mom cried and told her what a disappointment she'd become and how ashamed they were to have raised such a S-L-U-T. Call me old-fashioned, but when your mother calls you a S-L-U-T, it's pretty safe to say you stayed on the train to Horseville 1, 2, or 3, or 47 too many stops. I could hear Mari crying and pleading that she has no place to go. Instead of gloating, she was getting some of what was coming to her. I thought of the kids. I have no issue with Carrie and Michael staying at their grandparents' house, but anywhere else I could think where Mari might go, there was no way in hell I was going to allow them to stay with her. If she went to Rebecca's, there was no damn way I'd allow them to be anywhere around that bimbo beautician. Even if she somehow managed to secure a hotel room with her limited earnings, I didn't trust her not to have some random F-boy stay over. I was happy her family knew some of the truth, but I knew that doing so was going to cause visitation issues. Yet, if she didn't find a stable and safe place to stay, I knew the court wouldn't allow any form of unsupervised visitation. Getting to see her kids with supervision for an hour or two every other weekend was going to hurt, but it was a grave she dug for herself with lies and a hellhole vagina. If it meant a homeless shelter or the actual gutter itself, I didn't and still don't care. And I don't blame this guy in the least, and I thank all the dudes watching this around the world right now while you're having your breakfast or your lunch or whatever, your coffee or your beer. None of you guys would care either. Mandy and I were still on the phone when I heard Mari come outside and ask if it was me on the phone. Mandy asked what I wanted her to tell Mari. I probably should have told her the truth, because Mari snatched Mandy's phone and began to plead with me. She asked why I was so intent on destroying her life. If there's anybody who destroyed a life, it was her. 47 times 5. Because we know that 47 isn't the actual number. Make your bed and you lie in it. I mean, she's been lying in a lot of beds, but you know what I mean. And cars and bathroom stalls, but I simply replied because she destroyed mine. She urged I could have my life back if I just forgive her. I told her that life was over and never actually existed due to her lies. Again, she lied and swore she loved me. I told her in a not so eloquent way that the only thing she loved in life was herself and cock. She insisted none of that meant anything to her. I told Mari they all meant more to her than me and her family's security, or she wouldn't have risked it all over and over. She asked why I had ratted her out to her sister and her parents. I asked why she hadn't been honest with them about everything, especially about me not being Carrie's father. She cursed at me and said I am her father. I cursed back at her and told her I'm Carrie's dad and always will be, but she should have at the very least told her family the truth. The old joke about them and accountability. It's your fault. They're kicking me out. It's your fault. My mom's calling me an SLUT. No, it's your fault for your actions that caused all these things. She said that her parents were disowning her and kicking her out. I told her I heard. I was happy to hear, and I was going to do everything in my power to make things worse. I love this guy. Man, I would buy this guy a freaking beer. I'm not a big drinker, but I would sit down and have a beer with this dude right now. She said she loves me and asked how I could be so cruel to someone that loves me. I told her she should have been asking herself that question 6 years ago. I told her I knew she felt regret simply because she was losing everything and now people are hearing the truth. But I explained what she did makes her worthy of being shunned as well spoken ill of and toward. What she was experiencing from her family is what she in fact deserves. Hawthorne gave Scarlet Letters a bad name. She'd be a worthy candidate. I gotta tell you guys, this will be a quick intermission for you guys to just, take a second here. If more families were willing to be this way in terms of their children or whatever member acts in such a despicable, dishonorable way and disown them, you'd have a lot more people thinking twice about doing the shit like in the story that they do. If they knew that their family would toss them out in the street, literally like this, disown them, all that, people would really think twice. Because human beings, very ugly side to our human nature. And there has to be consequences. And people think that just no matter what I do, the family's always going to be here. They're just like the way children, if there's no consequences for children's actions, they're going to just do all the annoying crap the kids do and all that. They need to know that if, as a little kid, if you cross the line, you're getting an ass whooping. Or at the very least, screamed at. Some people may disagree with me, but I think this is one of the main reasons we have the world is the state that it's in now. No consequences. And everybody's a victim, right? Okay. 3 days later, Nadia called me and said Mari's attorney called to try and set up another time to meet together. Oh, imagine that. We set the meeting up for last Friday at Nadia's office. Needless to say, I didn't want to see or talk to her, but I knew being essentially homeless would have implications on judicial custody decisions. As soon as we sat down together, her lawyer informed me that Mari had been living in her car since her parents kicked her out. Where are all those Chad and Tyrone she was hooking up with all that time? They clearly don't want her to come live with them, because that's how Chad and Tyrone roll. I asked her why she didn't stay at Rebecca since the B helped her get into the situation. Mari didn't respond. Mari instead asked if there was any way I'd let her come home or if we could do marriage counseling. Oh my God. Is she like trying to use the Jedi mind trick on this guy? Like waving her little hands together and say, you will take me back. Now, we know she's an evil Sith Lord here, but still. It's the fucking Jedi mind trick. No, he's not going to take her back. No, he's not going to forgive her. No, they're not going to do marriage counseling. I told her she needed to ask her parents if she could come home. The house I and the children lived in was off limits to hussies, hoes, and harlots. She and Becca were to stay far away. As far as marriage counseling went, she was free to try with whomever she was stupid enough to marry her next time. But I was certain she could never be faithful to anyone after living like a total WHORE for so long. Her lawyer objected to my language and the harshness of my voice. I'd be like, go freaking pound sand, jackass. I told him he was a money-grubbing WHORE, just representing such a tramp, and asked him if she was paying her legal bills via OnlyFans or just blowing him. Anyway, how's she paying her lawyer? Nadia put her hand on my shoulder to calm things down and asked if we could all be more civil. I asked to take a break because I'd already loaded my next verbal salvo, and I needed to let off some steam. We took a 20-minute break, and I went out to my car just to get away from everyone. I thought about writing Home Sweet Home with my key on the hood of Mari's car, but I knew I was on camera and I was already dealing with enough lawyers. I could see fast food garbage on the passenger side and piles of clothes in the back seat. Living the nightmare. That's what she's done to her life and mine. I'm trying with the help of a professional to let go of the hate, but I saw no reason to treat her with one molecule of respect or decency. Everything about her was indecent, and SLUTs don't even respect themselves. At any rate, Nadia urged me to try and keep my answers to yes or no variety if possible. I agreed to try, but explained there was only so much my ex's BS lies and excuses I could listen to. She assured me she'd try to get us through the meeting as quickly as possible. When we sat back down, I just glared at Mari and her lawyers to let them know without saying a word they can go both F themselves. Nadia started the meeting back up by asking Mari if she sought out or received any therapy for herself. She claimed she didn't have the time while dealing with physical therapy, nor did she have the money as her insurance wouldn't cover therapy. Nadia asked if we paid it for Mari if she would attend a few therapy sessions by herself. My head turned toward Nadia so fast when she asked that I thought I'd get whiplash. But she kicked me under the table to let me know she had everything under control. Her lawyer immediately said Mari would only see a therapist of her choosing regardless of who paid it. Nadia indicated that was fine, but that some therapy might help her process her emotions to be a better mother in the future. I still thought Nadia had lost her mind proposing such a thing, but I let her keep talking. Trust your lawyer. Her counsel insisted they would talk about it and give us an answer in the future. My lawyer stated that in spite of being opposing counsel, as a woman, she wanted to ensure that any women involved in cases she was involved got the help they need. I won't lie, the way she said it was so convincing, I seriously thought my own legal representative had turned on me. No, but trust her. Mari asked if we could do counseling as a family unit. Pfft, fat chance. That time I kicked Nadia under the table to tell her there was no way in hell I'd agree to that. Nadia kicked me back before telling them if Mari went to several sessions and the therapist thought it would be beneficial, we might. I'm going to take a second to see and wonder if there's some sexual tension going on between this dude and his attorney. I don't know what she looks like. I don't know how old she is, but he's kicking her to not say something. She's kicking him. He's kicking her. I don't know. Call me crazy. I'm already starting to sense something here. I knew Nadia had a reason to be proposing what she did. Just wish she'd fill me in ahead of time. I knew I'd learn what the goal of her tactics were later, but I was perplexed until the meeting was over. I asked Mari if what she's going through was worth all the cheap, meaningless sex with strangers. I seriously wanted to know if being able to WHORE around for years was worth losing it all. I pointed out she had to enjoy what she was doing, or she wouldn't have kept doing it. I really wanted to know if those experiences were worth losing a loving husband and custody of her children. She began to weep in what looked like sincere tears before telling me no. I asked if she had felt any shame. I knew she felt tons of regret, if for nothing else, getting caught. But I wanted to know if she felt ashamed for people to eventually know every deviant detail in her tawdry escapades. She claimed she very much did, especially now that her family knew. In other words, when she gets caught and kicked out. I asked if she really thought she could hide the truth from her family forever. She said she hoped to keep it all getting out at least until she started to get back to work and got her own place of her own. But she knew it would come out eventually. She apologized for hurting me and claimed she never ever wanted to do that. Yeah, sure, honey. I told her she didn't hurt me, she effing destroyed me. I told her every single day, all day long, I feel pain. It is in my soul, but I can feel it in my joints, my muscles. But Advil brings no relief. My heart is so broken that when she poisoned my soul, it seeped into my appendages. On a good day, I feel numb. On a bad day, the tension fills my entire body. Depression causes physical aching sometimes, and some days I wake up feeling sore for no reason. And I'm sure he wakes up many days laying in that fetal position, not wanting to get out of bed. or probably not wanting to wake up the next day. I'm sure that guy feels that. And notice he hasn't mentioned anything like the temptation to start binging on alcohol or drugs. Thank God for that. It says here, she cried, hearing me express the pain her actions made me endure. I told her to tell me what I ever did to justify her betraying me so thoroughly and cruelly. She just cried and cried harder. I asked her what she thought she deserved from me and life after what she'd done. Not what she wanted, what she thought should happen to someone who literally effed her life away. She began to bawl. I was sick of the tears and lack of answers. I was done. The meeting ended with Mari's lawyer trying to get her out of the office as she repeatedly asked me to forgive her. I kept telling her to go home and drive her home somewhere else. Drive her home. Because we were done talking. When they finally got off the premises, I made Nadia explain why she proposed that I pay for Mari to see a shrink. She explained doing so would be seen as favorable act by the court, but Mari was clearly unstable and not coping with life very well. If a professional recommended or insisted she needed to be hospitalized for her own good, well, that would work for us. In a distraught state, it was very easy to get yourself institutionalized at least overnight. Allowing her to see a professional might get her some help, but it also might help us when they see how frazzled she's become. Yes, translation, full custody of the kids. And she doesn't even get to see them at all, amongst many other things. She deceived me for more than 6 years about my entire life. I feel no guilt in not revealing my true intentions of why I actually want to see a shrink. If she thinks family therapy is a possibility to get her to go, so be it. Mari is good at digging her own grave. I hope that continues. He says, yes, I realize this by no means is a short update, but it was as condensed as I could make it. The kids are both doing well. Michael's playing baseball as a pitcher since he's the tallest on his team. He does well from the mound and play even with the larger strike zone. I'm taking him with Doug and his two sons to see the Sox play the Tigers next week. Cool. Shit, the Tigers. So is this guy in Michigan, or is he in Massachusetts? That'd be something if he was here in Massachusetts, like me. He says, Miss Carey is beautiful, and or it could be the White Sox. My bad. Miss Carey is as beautiful and sweet as ever. She loves the pool and has been having great friends over with the kids to enjoy it. I want to raise two kids that are too busy with life to have their nose pressed against a phone. That may warp them to the point they feel out of place in society, but they'll be my warped kids. Thanks to all the kind words and support. Every day seems like it brings a new challenge, but knowing I have so many who have my back means the world to me. Peace and thanks. And he had a quick little edit to what he was saying. He says, a few people got the idea Mandy and her parents knew Mari had cheated on me before I knew. I told her parents about catching her cheating the same morning I told my parents. They knew nothing of her activities before I told them. I did not find out until later Mari had cheated with multiple men, one of which is Carrie's father. I was the one to inform Mari that I am not Carrie's biological father. I just assumed she told the family. When her dad referred to those men, I assumed he knew that she'd been with enough guys to give her vagina its own Yelp rating. I love her family. I don't want them to hurt anymore over this, and they have to. I had and have no desire to put salt in their wounds. Mari admitted to a couple short-term affairs to them. That's it. I was trying to protect Carrie and assumed she'd discreetly tell her family. I cut off all contact with them and have been communicating via Jessica and Nadia. Until I ran to Mandy, I hadn't had a chance to sit down with anyone in her family. We came to find Mari was hoping it stayed in the family in that way. Sorry for the confusion. Okay, so guys, for now, the saga concludes. Part 5. And for all of you who enjoyed it, I'm glad. I hope you really did, and thank you for sticking through this. And again, I gotta say a big shout out to this guy for all that he's gone through. It's an amazing story, and I wish this guy the best. But I gotta tell you, in my opinion, this ain't over. There's going to be further updates. So I'm going to look every once in a while to see further updates from this guy, see how he's doing, because I'm sure all you guys will really enjoy the story, that watch all these long-ass videos will want to see what's going on with him. So guys, I just want to say this, that you come across a really good story you'd like me to share, you'd like me to cover in this channel, by all means email it to me, whether it's a quick, short, crazy type of story, or a very long, type of saga like this, send it my way, and I'll definitely cover if it definitely works out for the channel. And this also goes for any stories that obviously have been around for a while. This story's been around for a bit, but many of you guys commented that even though you heard some of it before, you still wanted to hear it again because you like the way I do things. Cool, I appreciate that. Or if it's something that that you heard but just like to hear it again, or there's updates, you see something like that, send it my way, and I'll definitely cover it down the road. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.